years. I'm not sure when was the last time I was here. That would be 2017. And all you could remember is Neil was so very young then, and now he is almost as tall as me, and he'll be 18 come September. So that's a lot of years. And I would like to thank you for your faithfulness in the Lord, your love for the mission work in the Philippines, as well as your encouraging words. Now, these updates are included in my annual report. For those who are not aware, the Philippines is part of Southeast Asia. North of us is China, and then we are neighbors with some of the countries like Taiwan to the north, and then to the east or to the west, Vietnam, and to the south is Indonesia. Now, the Philippines is divided into three major geographical divisions. The north is Luzon, and then south Luzon is the Visayas, where Negros Island is, and then south of the Visayas is Mindanao, where we have a considerable population of Muslims on the southern portion of it. Now, Negros Island in the Visayas is divided into two provinces. The province that faces west towards Panay is Negros Occidental, and the province that faces east towards Cebu is Negros Oriental. Now, the people in Negros Occidental speaks Ilonggo, and the people in Negros Oriental speak Cebuano. Calatrava, where we have our church, our home, and some of our missions, is actually part of Occidental, but since it faces Cebu, most of the people there speak Cebuano, like us. But we can also converse in Ilonggo, which is spoken on the other half of the island. Now, these are updates of our church, Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Calatrava. This year we have 95 in Sunday morning services. We had a total of 126 first-time visitors in Sunday services, another 55 first-time visitors in other services such as the ladies class, men's class, the youth class, as well as our cuttings or home prayer meetings. And we have 6 souls baptized and 3 added to the church by letter. So our total number of members stands at 121, and about 80 of them are actively involved in church worship and ministries. In spite of our deep poverty and financial difficulties, most of our members are poor, but the Lord's blessed. This year, our total offerings is $8,416, which is a 41% increase compared to last year. And out of that, we gave $4,075 to local missions, and that is a 22% increase compared to last year. So the Lord's blessed, and the people of God in Calatrava are growing, both in spirit and in number. These are pictures of our baptisms. We had last year, we usually baptize in the ocean because it is very near the church. Just 5 minutes walk from our meeting house. It's beautiful, it's very public. You could not see it, but actually there are people that watch these baptisms because there are many houses beside the ocean in Calatrava. Most of these are small-scale fishermen, and they are mostly Catholics, and they are always amazed whenever we have baptisms like this, because Catholic baptism is way different than our baptism, which is of course the scriptural one. And then these are pictures of our 22nd church anniversary that we celebrated last July 21st. This was held in the second floor of the Calatrava Public Market, because we have about 230 plus people there, and our church meeting house could not accommodate that number. We have a special guest, Brother Abay, my good friend from Bacolod. He's preached for us. And then we have the ministers and their wives in that event. And then we had a good time preaching, lunch fellowship, and gift giving to the ministers who are there. And then our 23rd church anniversary this year will be held in August 3rd. That will be next month. And Brother Jason Mathini from Live Oak MBC in Louisiana will be with us on that day. We will be going home on the 29th. That will be Monday, and Brother Jason Mathini will be coming back with us. So just please pray for him. Then this is our Women in God's Service. This is a ladies group organized by Sister Lynn years ago, and they are the one leading the Bible studies for ladies, outreaches for unsaved, and with ladies outside the church. They have ladies discipleship class, they have Bible studies, and every year, every December, they cap the whole year's activities with this banquet night. And as you can see, this is the only night of the year that they are so beautiful. and they always wear their best, because this is one way of thanking the Lord for all the successful activities that they did for the whole year. There's preaching, there's gift giving. Some of the ministers in our work attended together with their wives, and we had a wonderful night. Then these are pictures of our church Thanksgiving last December 23rd. Most Baptist churches in the Philippines celebrate Thanksgiving during December. Our country does not have a Thanksgiving holiday like yours, so most churches do this on December. Ours was December 23rd. This was held in our church meeting house. Brother Ferdinand Doyaget, my younger brother, was the preacher there, and then he had his family with him and some of the ministers in our work. We have a preaching, we have lunch fellowship, and we have a wonderful time with everyone. And then these are our local missions. We are doing 2 local missions in Negros as of this time. Number 1 is Bunga Village Mission in Don Salvador Benedicto in Negros Occidental. This is a 3-year-old mission. You can see Brother John Dave, our local missionary, baptizing 5 converts last year, of which 3 of these are Seventh-day Adventists. Most people in this village are Seventh-day Adventists, so it's a challenging thing to be able to just start Bible studies, because most Seventh-day Adventists are very close-minded people. And the Lord's blessed. Highest attendance 37. They had 16 first-time visitors, 7 professions of faith, and then of course the 5 souls baptized. 3 were Seventh-day Adventists, and 2 were Roman Catholics. So please pray for this mission up in the mountains. And the second mission that we have is Malangsa Mission in Valerhermoso, Negros Oriental. That's Brother Alfie Castel, our local missionary, baptizing the converts last year. Their highest attendance is 49 on Sunday morning. They had 18 first-time visitors, 10 professions of faith, and 8 souls baptized. Now, Malangsa is used to be under the influence of communist rebels years ago. But a couple of years ago, the government did a good job in dismantling the rebel front, and they put an army base there. So peace has basically returned to the area. So we are able to do more when it comes to evangelism and Bible studies. Then we have our outreach ministries. First of all, we have our children's feeding ministry. We do this every month in these villages that are there. This year, we taught and fed about 5,249 kids. In the villages like Bantayanon, Patunan, San Isidro, Aquiles, Kunkot, and Punta villages. This is in Calatrava. And then 2 schools, San Benito Village Integrated School and Calatrava High School. Then also in Valerhermoso, in Malangsa Mission, and in Malangsa Elementary School, and in Don Salvador Benedicto, which is in Bunga Mission. We did a feeding there. And these are some of the pictures. Actually, we download tons of pictures on the Facebook page. But these are the pictures of the feeding in San Isidro Elementary School, about 2.5 miles from our church. Seaside Village is a small school, but the Lord's blessed. This lady here is the teacher of the 3rd graders, and she is the wife of one of our church members. And she invited us to feed the children there, and they are so happy. And then these are pictures of the feeding in San Benito Integrated School. This is our newest feeding area. This is located in a village of the same name, about 4 miles from Calatrava into the mountains. Most of the people here are Roman Catholics, but they're also involved in animistic beliefs, like beliefs in different spirits. So the school principal who comes to church with her family requested us to do this feeding, and we are doing, we did this, and we are able to have doors open to us for Bible studies with the parents of these children. Then these are the feeding pictures of Babonbon Village in San Carlos City in the mountains. We have a sister church there, Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. It's in our ward, and they have Vacation Bible School last April. The pastor there requested us to feed the children. They have about 80 kids graduating in their Vacation Bible School that day, so we did the feeding. And then this is another outreach that we have there, our radio ministry. Every Saturday I preach in 2 radio stations. The first one is in Cebu. That's Radio 1 Cebu 90.1. That's the manager beside with me. And then the other station is in Siquijor 105.7, and that is an island southeast of Negros. And these 2 weekly radio broadcasts reaches a huge portion of the Visayas region and some portions of northeastern Mindanao Island. So we have thousands of listeners every Saturday. We have received hundreds of messages, encouraging messages from many people, as well as many hostile messages from angry people who did not like what they heard from us. Then this is our campus ministry outreach. We held weekly Bible studies in Refugio High School, Calatrava Junior High School, and San Benito Integrated School. These schools are in Calatrava town. And July 6 and July 10, I was invited to preach in the baccalaureate service and recollection program of grade 10 and grade 12 students in Refugio High School. Then July 14, I was invited to preach in the baccalaureate service of grade 12 students in San Isidro High School in Toboso, where my wife graduated from. Then February 14th this year, I preached in the Special Valentine's Day program at Calatrava High School. For the whole year, a total of 64 students received Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Then these are pictures of the campus ministries. These are sample pictures. We have tons of pictures on our Facebook page. Now the pictures on both sides show the young men that comes with me to the campus doing Bible studies on different classrooms. Then the picture on the middle, that's me preaching to the 500 students in Calatrava High School who attended their Valentine's special program. So we always take opportunity. We grab the opportunity given to us by the Lord whenever doors open to be able to reach out to these young people. Then we have our Bible distribution ministry. For this year, we distributed 448 Bibles, of which 212 were given to the students of Calatrava Junior High School and Medina High School in San Carlos City. 80 were given to Lins Kukri students, and 156 were given to our sister churches and missions. I remember you've sent Bibles, Beams Bibles to the Philippines. So we distributed them, and we are still receiving Bibles from our churches here, like Saucer MBC. So we are so grateful because we are able to give these Bibles to many people in the Philippines who have not even held a Bible in their hands. Like, for example, in the pictures, you can see the Bible distribution ministry in Medina High School. Now, these are some of the pictures there. That's Lee to the right, giving Bibles to her students in her cookery class. The pictures in the middle are the students of Medina High School receiving Bibles from us. And the pictures of the upper left portion are the parents of, shows the parents of kinder students in San Isidro, Lins Home Village, receiving Bibles from us. So basically, we distribute the Bibles in schools, in communities, and of course, we also distribute Bibles in the jails, hospitals, and also the parents who requested these Bibles from us. And we have also received requests of Bibles from people who listen to the radio, and we have also distributed Bibles to them. In fact, one time I had to go to the Magere, about 100 miles from Calatrava, just to be able to give Bibles to a certain person there who owns a store. He listened to our program and he asked us some Bibles. Then this is our youth evangelistic ministry. Last December 24th, Christmas Eve, our church young people went to the public square beside the National Road, and we sang Christmas hymns because this is the night that Roman Catholics will come to their church for the Christmas Eve Mass. And there are so many of them, so we grabbed the opportunity. Many of them stopped by and listened to us singing Christmas hymns, and then I preached a simple message from John chapter 3 verse 16. So at least they were able to hear the gospel before they reached their church. And that is something that we are so thankful for. Then another youth evangelistic outreach that we did was last February 14th, our youth's special Valentine's Day program. We asked our young people to invite their classmates and schoolmates to come to our church. And we did not expect so many to come, but the Lord's blessed. 85 of them came, and we have singing, and they have preaching. And when the invitation was given, 9 of them came, received Jesus Christ as their Savior. And of the 9, one was the grandmother of one of the kids who attended the event. So we did not expect that because it was a youth event, but here was the 65-year-old grandmother, saved that night, and that is wonderful. And then we have another outreach that we do every Saturday. It's our children weekend Bible classes. These young girls in our church were taught by Sister Lynn how to teach children Bible lesson to the children. So they go to the different villages To the right, that's in Matulan village, a seaside village. Then in the middle, upper part, that's in Bantayanon village. And then to the lower left, that's in Buena Vista village. So we have three children's outreach in three villages. So we are so grateful because these young girls are committed themselves to teach children every Saturday. Then we have our special events this year. Our youth, last year rather, our youth camp last August 7 to 11. This was done last year. We have 154 young people from 15 churches. And then we have 6 souls saved in this week. And that week, 16 dedicated their lives to the Lord and 3 young men surrendered to preach. Our youth camp this year was done last June 24 to 28 when we are here. And there were 231 young people who attended the event. So many young people, so many young souls. And that is a wonderful thing. Then we have also our pastors and church leaders conference last November 14 to 17. We do this every year to encourage the ministers in our work because some ministers are discouraged, some are going through hard times. So we gather together, we have prayer, we have sharing, and then we have preaching. Last year, 31 ordained ministers attended the event. And then our theme last year was dealing with burnout and depression in the ministry. Now, this year we will do this in August 5th to 7th. And our guest preacher will be Brother Jason Matheny. So Brother Jason Matheny will be preaching most of the time for the 10 days that he will be there with us. So just pray for him. And then we have our children's gift giving. We do this every year. We call it Christmas gift giving. And most of the 600 kids who receive these gifts from us are kids in our feeding areas. So they always look forward to this every year. Most of the children are very poor, and we are so delighted because we are able to bring smiles and joy in their hearts every December. And these are some of the pictures. Last year, this was in Achilles village. You see those structures behind the children, those are their homes. So Achilles village is a very poor village. It is in the middle of a sugar cane plantation. And most of their parents work in the sugarcane farm and receiving $4 to $5 a day. So they're very poor. They always look forward to this gift giving every December. Now, these are also pictures of the gift giving in San Isidro village. Most of these kids will never receive any gift for Christmas because they come from very poor families. So they're always happy whenever we do this every year. And then these are pictures of the gift giving in Punta village. This is a seaside village. People here are poor fishermen, and the children are always happy. What we do there is every feeding we check their names, attendance, so that by December their names will be there in the gift giving. So we just don't give gifts to everybody, but those who attend our feeding, so that they can be followed up every month in the Bible studies as well as in the feeding events. And then this is our new church property, a great blessing from the Lord. Last year, we were able to buy this property through offerings that I received from our churches and individuals last 2022 and 2023. So whenever we came back from our trip last year, me and Neil, we paid this property. This is a bigger property. Our church right now, our church meeting house could not accommodate our people. In fact, if the attendance reaches 90, some of the people could not sit anymore. So that we've been praying for the Lord to provide us a property that is bigger so that we can build a bigger church meeting house. And the Lord's blessed. And we intend to build a structure that is 40 feet by 60 feet. Our present meeting house is just 20 feet by 40 feet. So we need a bigger space. And we are trying to raise money for this. The engineer said it will cost us about $100,000 for the labor and material. So just pray for this. This has been in our hearts, and we are praying that the Lord will provide so that in the future we can have a bigger place and we can have more people in Sunday services and other services of the church. So I would like to thank you once again for your prayer, support for the Philippine Mission Work, and for the opportunity that God gave us to be able to come here tonight. If you have questions, I would be more than glad to answer them.
It's amazing to think about how free you all are to go into the schools whenever that. In our country, there's such strict lines, you know, where religion and schools
Yes.
are.
Our Constitution provides for freedom of religion, the same as yours, but we interpreted it as freedom for all religions. So in public places, like public schools, all religions in the Philippines have an equal access. And so they cannot deny us the opportunity to minister to the students. And the other side of that is they cannot also deny the other churches preaching a false gospel to come to the students. So it's just a matter of taking the opportunity and being able to tell the students about the true gospel that can save sinners. Because there are so many cults and false churches in the Philippines, and they are everywhere. That is why our radio program is very important, our campus ministry is very important, and all the outreaches that we do there is very important, because most people there have been exposed to the wrong gospel, especially the Roman Catholic Church, which is of course the major cult in the Philippines. So we try to bring the message and let the Holy Spirit do the rest. And as I've said, even public offices are open to Bible studies. It depends on the office head if he will allow that. But it is not uncommon to see offices in the Philippines, government offices that has the Jesus Christ image on the room, like a crucifix or a Virgin Mary or the Holy Child Jesus. Even the mayor's office, even the governor's office, they have a place there for their safety. So, the boundary between state and religion in the Philippines is kind of not clear, not very clear. But the Supreme Court, our Supreme Court has ruled that in matters of religion, especially disputes within the church or within churches, they could not intervene because it's outside their jurisdiction. So that's how clear they are there. At the same time, that's how blurred they are there, because like Calatrava, their patron saint is Saint Peter. His feast day is celebrated every June 29th. They use government funds to celebrate that. So nobody, of course, complains, because we were under Spain for 330 years, and during those times, the boundary between church and state is not clear. It's joint. So I think we got that from those years. So nobody complains. They have feast for their Catholic saint, use the government money. We do not complain. But at the same time, if our church will use the government vehicles for transportation in attending youth camps or going to church anniversaries in our sister churches, or hauling some things for the church, they also allow that. No questions. So it's fair for everybody.
Yes, it's a blessing to see how far y'all have come in the years. As if I remember right, maybe you didn't come here the last time, but the time before that, and y'all was building the church, and I remember the wheel bars.
Ah, yes. Yes, sir.
That's come a long ways, and God's really blessed.
Yes. In fact, that our present church, we had to extend it by 10 feet to accommodate more people. That was in 2016. Whenever we were here, brother in the Lord gave us money to extend the church meeting house, so we did it, and it's now overflowing, so we need more space. But the Lord's blessed, yes. It's not because of me or anybody in the church. The Lord's blessed. We grabbed every opportunity that the Lord has given us to reach out to the people. So it's a blessing, and you are a big part of that. We thank the Lord for you.
So whenever that you see like conversion of people like from the Roman Catholic or from the Seventh-day Adventist, do you see them stay true to, or do you see them be conflicted because of family to be drawn back away into the other religions?
The conflict will be before he or she gets baptized, because like if your family is a devout Roman Catholic family, They won't mind if you come to a Baptist church, attend services, for as long as you will also attend Catholic services. The problem there starts whenever you decide to be baptized. Because to them, it's a big insult to the family. And it's like you have disowned your own family. So that's why, if you will observe in my report, we have 10 professions of faith and yet 8 baptisms. And that's because not everyone who gets saved would decide to be baptized right away. Sometimes it takes months for them to be able to decide to follow the Lord in baptism, because it's a public profession, it's an insult to your family, you will be ridiculed by the public who will be watching your baptism, which is very different from theirs. And so it's kind of very difficult indeed, a hard decision to make. That's why most people who got saved and decided to be baptized, they are already committed to the Lord. And for them, baptism is not only a public profession of your faith, it is a public way of showing that you are committed to the Lord no matter what. That's why I'm not sure if I use the term, attrition rate is very small. Like they will always be there in the church. They will serve the Lord because they have been baptized. They are members of the church, so that's their commitment. That's why the understanding there is, how committed am I to the Lord? If I'm not that committed, then I will not be baptized. So you can assure that those who are baptized have made that decision, that agonizing struggle just to be baptized. And that is wonderful, because that's a good public testimony. Yeah, you get ridiculed there and insulted if you get baptized. But the Lord's blessed through the years. In fact, Aline and I, we have welcomed young people under our roof because they were kicked out from their families for being baptized. And we have supported some of them through school, and the rest, they just went back to their families. So it's a sad thing indeed to see these young people going back to their families, going back to their old faith, and never making commitment to God. But that's how it works there in a very Catholic country. It's not easy. And we have a Seventh-day Adventist who got saved. You are friends with Sister Joanne Marmito. You are friends with Joven, his girlfriend. Remember, she was Seventh-day Adventist, and she was kicked out by her family for being saved and being baptized in our church. And it took her maybe 1 year before they get reconciled, and her family, accepted her again. So it's not easy. Okay, if you don't have questions, then thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope that you will continue to support the work there. And maybe one day some of you can come to the Philippines and visit. Yeah, you won't be homesick there, because we have a McDonald's in San Carlos. But they serve fries and rice, so you can get the rice though.